Carlos Alcaraz's performance at Roland Garros over the weekend wasn't just about his incredible athleticism or a thrilling 4-set win, it was also about integrity. In a match filled with intensity and electrifying exchanges against the American Ben Shelton, it was a moment of pure honesty that truly stood out. Early in the second set, something unusual happened. Shelton, aggressive and full of energy, ripped a passing shot that looked destined for a clean winner. Alcaraz lunged desperately, and in doing so, his racket left his hand. Somehow, by sheer reflex or luck, the racket still connected with the ball and sent it back across the net. The umpire initially awarded the point to Alcaraz. But what followed elevated the Spaniard beyond the scoreline. Alcaraz, known for his fiery game and relentless drive, did something that defied the heat of competition. He walked straight to the umpire and explained that he had not been holding the racket when it hit the ball. According to the rules, that meant the point couldn't count. The umpire reversed the decision and gave the point to Shelton. The crowd, seated inside the iconic court Philippe Chatrier, recognized the rarity of what had just occurred. In a world where pressure can blur the lines, Alcaraz brought clarity. He was met with a thunderous round of applause, an ovation not for a blistering forehand or a match-point ace but for honesty. The moment became the true highlight of the match. Yes, Alcaraz won the battle, taking the match 7-6, 8, 6-3, 4-6, 6-4. Yes, he's defending champion and one of the top-seeded players. But that gesture of sportsmanship, that split-second decision to do the right thing, spoke volumes. After the match, during the post-match press conference, Alcaraz reflected on his opponent with grace and admiration. He praised Shelton not just as a competitor but as a person. Apart from being a great player, he said, he's also a great person. We get along super well. Of course, on the court, there are no friends, we both want to win, and we'll both do our best to defeat the other. But it's also important to know how to accept a defeat, even though it hurts. It's rare to see two athletes push each other to the limit and still part ways with wide smiles and mutual respect. At the end of their clash, Alcaraz and Shelton met at the net. No grudges, no lingering frustrations. Just two world-class athletes who knew they had given their all, and who recognized the value of dignity in defeat and victory alike. Alcaraz's words and actions tell a larger story about the kind of athlete he wants to be. He's not just chasing trophies, he's building a legacy. A legacy that says how you win matters just as much as winning itself. For the fans, it was a reminder of why we watch this sport. Tennis, at its best, isn't just about power or speed. It's about grace under pressure. About the choices players make when no one would blame them for doing otherwise. Alcaraz didn't have to confess. The point was his, and no one would have known. But he knew. That was enough. Now, as Alcaraz prepares to face another American, Tommy Paul, in the quarterfinals on Tuesday, the conversation around him isn't just about rankings, seedings, or forehands down the line. It's about values. It's about respect for the game, for opponents, and for the thousands watching from the stands and millions more from home. In a tournament that has already had its share of thrills, this moment may stand alone. Not for the stats or the scoreboard, but for the clarity it brought to everyone watching. Carlos Alcaraz reminded the world that character counts. That a champion is defined not just by how they play, but by how they live the spirit of the sport. It was a gesture that young players across the world will remember. Coaches will point to that moment and say, that's how you respect the game. Parents will talk to their children about what they saw on the clay courts of Paris, not just a win, but a lesson in integrity. The applause that filled Philippe Chatrier wasn't routine. It wasn't about celebration, it was about recognition. The fans understood that they had just witnessed something pure, something that went beyond the rules and into the realm of values. Tennis has a long history of legendary sportsmanship. From Rod Laver to Roger Federer, from Arthur Ashe to Rafael Nadal, some players have set a standard not just with their rackets but with their hearts. Alcaraz, still only 22, showed that he belongs in that company. What's more impressive is that this wasn't the only time Alcaraz has shown humility. Throughout his young career, he's demonstrated maturity beyond his years. Whether in interviews, in interactions with fans, or in moments like this, he has consistently put respect at the center of his identity. The moment with Shelton crystallized everything. It wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't calculated. It was instinctive, and that's what made it so powerful. In the most intense of battles, when adrenaline is high and every point is gold, his first thought was to be fair. Ben Shelton, for his part, responded with equal class. He didn't milk the moment or make a scene. He just smiled, nodded, and played on. That's sportsmanship meeting sportsmanship. That's why the match was bigger than a scoreline. And when the two men met at the net, smiling, it wasn't just a formality. It was real. You could see it in their body language, in the lightness of their exchange. There was joy there, joy in the competition, in the mutual challenge, in the purity of the game played right. As Carlos Alcaraz moves deeper into the French Open, he carries more than a winning record. He carries the admiration of fans, the respect of his peers, and a shining example of how character and competition can coexist. No matter how the rest of the tournament unfolds, this moment will be remembered. Because in an age where winning can sometimes feel like everything, Carlos Alcaraz reminded us that how you win is everything. And for that, he's already a champion.